What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Clown Questions, the show where there are no dumb questions. I'm your host, Matt K. Maurer, and I've got a weird question for today's show. Is Stephen A. Smith a scammer? I'll attempt to answer that question in addition to some more. We'll do a FYI, First Year Interruption with Nico Harrison, top 10 Goosebump moments of the week, of course, and I'll give you my TNF Thursday night football pick. So who's down to clown?
That's a clown question, bro.
So is Stephen A. Smith a scammer? I believe so. He might be a scammer, and he's not just a scammer because he masquerades as a journalist when really he's just a S-tier rage baiter. He knows how to make the most ridiculous takes that will piss people off, whether or not they know that he's like, you could know Stephen A. Smith just having a hot take to get a hot take, and it'll still piss you off. But that's not the part of his scamming I'm talking about, and I wouldn't even say that about him because I do the same shit. I'm no journalist. I'm not even really a podcaster, but I have upgraded my setup a little bit today. I can see myself on my computer down there trying to use a new method. Maybe this will speed up the process for me. Maybe it will help us get the king in his court, to allude to maybe a future podcast. But back to the problem at hand here. Stephen A. Smith being a scammer. Oh, guess what we got? We got Nemo. You're live to tape on Clown Questions. I assume this was probably more of a personal,
I did have actually a sports question.
You did have a sports question. Okay, well let's put it up to the mic.
Is Matt LaFleur at this point coaching for his job?
If he has one more game like that, yes, Matt LaFleur will be coaching for his job if he coaches like that. Do you have any take on Stephen A. Smith promoting a scam solitaire app? That's what I'm currently talking about.
Stephen A. Smith, I thought he was running for president.
Exactly, yeah. He's a scammer. But no, I would love to rant to you about Matt LaFleur. But maybe I'll call you back. Maybe I'll rant a little bit on the show. I'm keeping this in, right? I can keep this in, right? Yeah. All right, appreciate you, Nemo. I gotta have you on the pod soon. Yeah, I'll call you back later. All right, peace. That was Nemo. I don't know how well you guys could hear him. I tried to put him up to the mic, and yeah, that was a great question he asked. Is Matt LaFleur coaching for his job? Maybe. I don't know. He's not aggressive enough. He's too conservative with his play calling. Yeah, I'm pissed about how our offenses looked the last two games. We had some bad drops. I don't know. Love's been so. Oh, come on. I was trying to make fun of Stephen A. Smith, and now I'm talking about my qualms with the Green Bay Packers, who have lost two of their last two. But Stephen A. Smith promoted a scam solitaire app. So the question to is he a scammer is yes. He promoted a scam. He tweeted out basically a tweet promoting the app. I don't know if you're familiar. If you're not on Twitter, they have this new community notes feature where you could tweet some misinformation, but then you can get community note and be like, actually, this is not true. The community note on that said #ad. Stephen A. promoted it and didn't put #ad in the post. And I think legally you're required to put #ad in there. But essentially, he promoted a solitaire app that has been scamming people, that is currently in some legal battles. And several of Steven's colleagues joined in on the promotion, including Dan Orlovsky, Mina Kimes, and Kendrick Perkins. Each one of their posts included #ad to indicate the sponsorship. For some reason, Stevens didn't. But essentially, this solitaire app, it's called Papaya, and they're in the midst of a lawsuit. So this lawsuit is essentially claiming that Papaya falsely promoted their mobile games as, quote, totally fair and skill-based, end quote, when in reality they were, quote, rigged, end quote. It is undisputed that Papaya used tailored bots to control the outcomes of tournaments, a New York judge wrote in an October 27 opinion via FOS, whatever that is. By doing so, Papaya could prevent players from winning or allow them to win no matter how they performed in the game. Clearly, Stephen A. didn't look really into this app at all. He claims to play a lot of solitaire. The whole reason he's preventing or promoting the solitaire is to kind of clean up his image a little bit. Because if you don't remember, during Game 4 of the NBA Finals, Stephen A. Smith was caught playing solitaire on his phone. Why are you playing solitaire? You're supposed to be reporting. You're literally doing the halftime show. You should be locked in on this game to give us the best analysis possible. But he wasn't. He was on solitaire, and he came out afterwards and he's like, what, I can't go on solitaire, in between plays for media timeouts? You could look at the court in this video and see that there was active play in motion, and Stephen A's on the solitaire app. But yeah, he tried to play this ad off as a joke and be like, see, I'm promoting the solitaire. Kind of try to, poke fun at himself. But now a lot more people are going to be poking fun at him because Papaya is rigging these solitaire games, screwing people over. And yeah, a lot of people had a lot to say about it. Namely ex-ESPN host Michelle Beadle, who I love. One of the former hosts of Sports Nations, which was my favorite ESPN show growing up. Always loved Michelle, but she called Stephen A. out. She called him out, kind of not put him on blast, but she's not here for this solitaire scam nonsense. But yeah, she publicly called out Stephen A., claiming on her podcast this week, "It's not secret how I feel about this human. Honestly, I'm not a religious person, but I pray for the downfall. I really do. It's gross, man. You got to have principles in this thing." She added, ESPN pays him $1 gazillion to get a lot of stuff wrong and yell. He gets caught playing solitaire during the NBA freaking finals, the thing he's an expert in. He made you look like fools for handing him a blank check in the first place, because he doesn't even give a shit about the stuff he's paid $1 gazillion to talk about. Now he's turning around and turning that into a money-making opportunity, and it looks like a fraudulent crap business to begin with. Yeah, I think Michelle Beadle eviscerated him for good reason. She is absolutely correct in all of that. The funniest part of that quote had to be, I'm not a religious person, but I'm praying on his downfall. She's like, I don't know if these prayers are going to work, but I'm still praying on his downfall. Love that from Michelle Beadle. I got to tune into her podcast if that's the kind of bars she's dropping. But yeah, Stephen A. Smith, verified scammer. I believe Mina Kimes came out and kind of apologized for this. Haven't seen an apology from Stephen A. Smith. Shout out Mina Kimes or Mina Fines, as I like to call her. But yeah, moving on. Stephen A., yeah, you got to address this scam solitaire app. Maybe an apology. I don't know, something. Because yeah, you might have caused a lot of more people to get scammed. And I don't know. As a little bullet point under this, I said this is the kind of thing you need to do more of. More making fun of Stephen A's, less making fun of players. Because I love the players. I got to start making of the higher ups like Stephen A. or Nico Harrison, like I'll do later in the show. And this guy, who I am pissed at, and I don't even have YouTube TV, Bob Iger. If you're not familiar with Bob Iger, he's the CEO of Disney. And once you know that, you know the answer to this next question is yes. Is Bob Iger evil? Yes. He's definitely evil. Evil. The Eagles are evil too. But yeah, Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, I believe he is evil. We don't have to go into all the, Illuminati, Disney propaganda, how horrible their programming has been in the past. He wasn't there for all of that. He's not Walt Disney, but he has been the CEO of the company for almost 2 decades now. And yeah, because of him, a lot of people have not been able to watch football on ESPN specifically. If you hadn't heard, YouTube TV and ESPN are in quite a bit of a spat at the moment. Basically, ESPN has cut off their service from YouTube TV, essentially squeezing YouTube TV for more money and asking for such an increase in money that it would force YouTube TV to raise their rates and cause people to pay more money monthly for just having YouTube TV, which did include ESPN, but they didn't get a new deal done. Unfortunately, the last 2 Monday Night Football games didn't really help us out that much. I thought yesterday's game would have helped. I thought it would have been an instant classic between the Eagles and the Packers, but that one was a slog, just a slugfest, 10-7 ball game. It really would have helped if it was like 31-28, some sort of shootout, and people would have been up in arms about missing it. They see 10-7, it's not as bad. But yeah, Bob Iger, essentially what he's doing is he's squeezing YouTube TV. He's saying, you guys got to raise your rates. But YouTube TV is like saying, wait, no, we don't have to do that. And we know exactly what you're doing, Bob Iger and Disney. Bob Iger, CEO of Disney. Who does Disney own? Well, they own ESPN, and they also own Hulu. Hulu has live sports. Have you ever heard that stupid commercial? They apparently have live sports, and ESPN is one of those networks that they get live sports on. Basically, what the evil Bob Iger is doing is squeezing out YouTube TV to A, get them to raise their rates. So if they do keep ESPN, ESPN will continue profiting and at a higher margin. But B, what they're also trying to do at the same time as squeezing more money out of YouTube TV, they are trying to raise the overall price of YouTube TV to a price that is higher than that of Hulu with live TV, Hulu with cable. So essentially, they're double fucking YouTube TV, and that's $1 for the F-bomb jar as well. But yeah, they're screwing them over in 2 different ways. They're trying to make them charge their customers more and pay ESPN more, which would cause more customers to go over to the Disney-owned Hulu app. So yeah, Bob Iger, evil man, all he cares about is money. He had a bullshit appearance on Peyton and Eli on Monday Night Football. If you guys did not see that, basically he came on Peyton and Eli's like, oh, I'm just a jolly little Packers fan. No one cares that you're a Packers fan, Bob Iger, because you went on Peyton and Eli. You were all la-dee-da, touting your Packers fandom when there are millions of Packers fans with YouTube TV that were not able to watch that game because of the choices you're making, because of the greediness of those choices. That appearance was just a slap in the face, just a complete PR move from Bob Iger. He didn't even mention the situation. What was the point of you going on Peyton and Eli if you're not going to even address the situation? That was not good PR for you. That was bad PR. Because the whole time, I wouldn't put on the CEO of Disney while I'm watching my favorite team. I only threw it up because I wanted to see if he addressed the situation, and he did not, which leads me to the conclusion that he is evil. And yeah, I'm getting real worked up over that question. I don't even have YouTube TV, but the people are getting screwed over here. And, one day I'm going to have to, I was thinking maybe getting Hulu, but now I want to get YouTube TV just because I know exactly what Bob and his Disney cronies are doing. But let me move on to a different question. Is it over? The answer is yes to 2 of these and no to 1 of them. Is it over for Brian Daboll? Yes. Unfortunately, Brian Daboll got fired this week, but not Joe Shane. I don't know. Daboll, his Giants team has blown a lot of fourth quarter leads, 10-point lead in a couple of these past few games. They ended up losing basically all of them. Jackson Dart has played good. The offenses look good with no Malik Neighbors, with no Scattaboo. But evidently that was not enough. He couldn't take hold of the defense and, prevent them from these fourth quarter leads slipping away. And yeah, the New York Giants had enough. And I I think this is sort of Joe Shane scapegoating Brian Dable. That's my opinion of it, because Dable got fired, but Shane hasn't. And now Shane, he has Jackson Dart. And that's Brian Dable thought Jackson Dart was going to save his job. So did I. Evidently, that is not how it turned out. But Joe Shane did draft Jackson Dart, so he has that in his back pocket where he's like, see, I'm not a bad GM. I drafted the franchise quarterback. I traded up for him. But essentially, the Giants haven't been good. Jackson Dart has looked great. Jackson Dart could win Rookie of the Year potentially. Probably Emeka Ibuka. But, yeah, essentially, Shane is scapegoating Dable because he knows if, the team's looking like this and they don't have a reason to point to, they're going to start looking at Joe Shane. So this is step one in Joe Shane's plan to stay as the GM of the New York Giants is to fire Mr. Brian Dable. So, yeah, happy travels, Brian Dable. Another quick bullet point I had is Dan Quinn said he's taking over as defensive coordinator for the Commanders. I know Dan Campbell's a defensively, I'm stuttering in here, a defensively oriented coach, so maybe it could help their defense. It probably will a little bit, but I don't know. I think that Commanders defense is beyond repair. It is over in Washington. It is over for the Commanders this season. I do not see them returning to the playoffs, although they did say Jaden Daniels could come back. Don't let him. Don't let him. I guess unless you're literally in the playoffs, then maybe, but it's just not worth it. Let Daniels heal up and get as healthy as possible. Speaking about getting healthy as possible, Joe Burrow. Is Joe Burrow back? He might be. I don't think it's over for Joe Burrow. I thought he was going to be out the rest of the season, but evidently the Bengals are designating Joe Burrow to return from IR. This opens a 21-day practice window, and yeah, Burrow could potentially return, within that window or right after. I don't know. These Bengals, I believe Bengals are 2 games back of the AFC North, so if you squeak out a couple more games with Joe Flacco, maybe you get to that point where you put Burrow back in. But yeah, I don't know. Excited to see Burrow potentially return. And, someone said Burrow saw Joe Flacco putting up career numbers, and that turf toe healed up real quick. But yeah, I don't know. Turf toe is a beast. It's a bastard. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Burrow can come back. And I do think that will probably hinge a little bit on the Bengals' success. If they lose every game until he can come back, maybe he won't. But yeah, only one way to find out. Another person who it's over for is cornerback / wide receiver Travis Hunter. It's not over, but his season is over. He underwent season-ending knee surgery with eyes set on 2026. It was an LCL repair, and he is expected to return within 6 months to full football activities. Really unfortunate news for one of the rising stars in the league. I think everyone was excited to see how that would work, playing both positions in the NFL. And yeah, he looked decent in his rookie year, but yeah, unfortunately, we won't be able to watch him again until 2026. So heal up soon, Travis Hunter, even though I'm still salty that you stole Ashton Genty's Heisman Trophy. One more answer to the question, is it over, is yes, the Packers. It's over for the Packers because Asante Samuel Jr. signed with the Steelers. No, it's not over for the Packers. I am overreacting. Am I pissed at Matt LaFleur? Sure. But that doesn't mean the season's over. Is his tenure over? Who knows? Probably overreacting here, but man, that offense has looked anemic. But definitely not over for the Steelers, who, maybe a little pessimistic after, getting their ass kicked by the Chargers. But I think there's reason for hope because, yeah, there were a lot of injuries in their secondary, a lot of banged up corners, and now they have their replacement. So Asante Samuel Jr., he signs with the practice squad. Hasn't played football in a while, but Asante is definitely a player I was, eager and, kind of praying that the Packers would go after. Obviously, we did not. As I scroll through, the Packers officially placed Elton Jenkins on injured reserve. That sucks. Another O lineman down. Enter Sean Morgan and Jordan Morgan. Sean Ryan, excuse me. Sean Ryan and Jordan Morgan. Damn. It's all right. The Packers aren't dead. We lost 2 in a row. That's all. I don't even have a single thing about the Packers, and I keep bringing them up. That shows my bias. Let me just move on to my next question. Is America's pastime back? I think so. I mean, I think that was the most entertaining World Series we'd gotten years. Probably most viewed Game 7, most viewed MLB game in a decade plus. So, yeah, I think it's back. I think it's kind of had a resurgence in the zeitgeist of American sports fans. It's not just baseball fans anymore. Football fans and basketball fans are starting to turn their heads and be like, this baseball thing's kind of cool. So maybe it's could be America's future time in the future. But unfortunately, there are some guys who may be setting America's pastime back. We might have just, set America's pastime 50 years back to the days of Pete Rose when he was the coach and he was gambling on or against his own team. We'll have to look into Pete Rose again. But essentially what happened is a very bad scandal, but I think will potentially boost the interest in Major League Baseball because there's so many interesting things that have occurred, namely in the gambling scene. Obviously, we talked about a lot of gambling issues in the NBA. Well, there's just as many in the MLB. And essentially what happened is the Cleveland Guardians pitchers, 2 of them, both of these pitchers, Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz, were indicted by prosecutors in Brooklyn on a host of charges related to a scheme to rig bets on pitches thrown in MLB games. Luis Ortiz was arrested in Boston, and Emmanuel Clase, I don't believe, is currently in custody. But yeah, a lot to unpack here. Essentially, they're purposely throwing balls and, telling a buddy, telling a friend, telling maybe a friend in the mafia, bet on ball because I'm throwing this way outside of the zone. Don't even worry about it. If you bet ball, you will double your money on DraftKings or whatever app. That's the thing. That's how they always catch you. They're putting in these bets legally, but they're like, okay, why did 9 different times someone bet on first pitch ball on Emmanuel Clase, one of the best relievers in baseball? Why would people do that continually? And yeah, they got caught for it. But essentially, the 23-page indictment against Clase and Ortiz lays out the alleged scheme for the pitchers to intentionally throw balls so bettors could wager on pitches to be balls or strikes. It started as early as May 2023, according to prosecutors, with Clase, and then later, Luis Ortiz was included. Prosecutors are alleging that Luis Ortiz was paid $5,000 for throwing an intentional ball on June 15th, and then Emmanuel Clase was given $5,000 for facilitating it. They did it again on June 27th, according to the indictment, and the payment for that on each pitch was $7,000 a piece. Just crazy. One of the more well-known and well-respected journalists at the time currently is Pablo Torre, probably one of the most reliable people I ever reference on this show for sure. So this is directly from the mouth of Pablo Torre. At one point, per the indictment, Clase tried to throw a ball, but the batter swung, resulting in a strike. Quote, better I allegedly texted Clase a gif of a man hanging himself with toilet paper. Clase replied with a gif of a sad puppy dog face. The Guardians went on to win the game. Oh, man. If you're going to cheat, if you're going to rig MLB games, probably shouldn't be texting about it. It's pretty easy for prosecutors to find that evidence. All they need to do is obtain a search warrant. And even if you delete the text messages on your phone, all they got to do is call up AT&T or Verizon. They're like, hey, can you fetch these deleted text messages for us? And they're like, oh yeah, no problem. You have a search warrant. We're legally required to. But yeah, that's probably the most hilarious thing is that the bettor texted Emmanuel Clase a gif of a guy hanging himself with toilet paper. And then Clase responded back with a sad puppy dog gif. By the way, the guy who swung at that pitch, which was a ball, it was a ball kind of in the dirt, was Andy Pajes. Andy Pajes, who I'm formerly one of his biggest haters, but now I'm not as big of a hater because I really respect what he did in Game 7 with that catch. But yeah, essentially between 2023 and 2025, the bettors won over $400,000, $400,000. That's a lot of dough. And yeah, what? So Clase and Ortiz were getting $5,000, $7,000 per pitch. If the bettors won over $400,000, that means what? Clase and them, I don't know how much. We'll have to see how much Clase and Ortiz made. But yeah, $5,000 a pitch is a lot of money. But yeah, definitely not worth doing it because it's so easy to get caught. They will even go back and find the gifts you sent to the bettors. But yeah, as a result of all of this, the MLB and the sports books have agreed to a $200 limit on pitch bets. And they've also prohibited such bets from being included in parlays. I think that's fair. I think, people who don't know that the next pitch is rigged, they don't know exactly what it's going to be. With gambling addictions, I think it's fair to limit that. It's a 50-50 pitch bet. Probably should have some sort of a limit on that. That limit is 200, and now you can't put it in your parlay. So unfortunately for the degenerates who are betting on first pitch ball or strike, which again, insane. I don't know why you would bet on that. You're gonna have to limit that to $200. But yeah, baseball's back. America's pastime is back, as are the Dallas Mavericks. Are the Mavs fans free? Are the Mavs fans freed? That's my final question, and the answer is yes. Free at last. Free at last. The Dallas Mavericks and owner Patrick Dumont are expected to fire general manager Nico Harrison at a 10 a.m. Central Time meeting on Tuesday, sources told Shams Charania and Tim McMahon. Such a weird way to phrase that tweet. So you knew before the meeting that they were getting fired. Did Nico know before this meeting? Maybe Patrick Dumont texted Shams and be like, hey, I'm about to go into a meeting with Nico. Can you tweet this quick that he's fired? So Nico went into the meeting knowing he was fired. But yeah, that's kind of weird. They're expected to fire him during this meeting. I guess he hadn't been fired at the time. So who knows? I wonder if Nico found out from Dumont, the guy who fired him, or from Shams Charania. Regardless, it's irrelevant, as is Nico Harrison. You did get Cooper Flag. You lucked into Cooper Flag, but the fans were chanting, fire Nico, fire Nico. The fans hosted a funeral at Dallas after you traded Luka Doncic. And yeah, the fans got what they wanted. They wanted you out of there. No one cared that you got Cooper Flag because you lucked right into it. You had a 1% chance at him, 1.8 maybe. But yeah, Nico Harrison, I love him. I'm a Lakers fan. Glad I got Doncic. But yeah, I totally understand the Mavericks fans who hate him. And that's why this week's First Year Interruption is going to be with Mr. Nico Harrison. This is an interview, I believe, from a couple months ago, but I think it's still very poignant and relevant, if I use that word correctly. But here's First Year Interruption with Nico Harrison.
When Luka comes back to town, the Lakers game's happening, and you're standing there, and there's thousands of people chanting for you to be fired. That's an experience that none of us, no one's chanting for for us to lose our jobs. Why shouldn't you be fired?
Well, one, I think I've done a really good job here, and I don't think I can be judged by the injuries this year. You have to judge from totality, from beginning to end. And so I think I have a really good working relationship with Patrick. I think you add in Rick, the leadership that we have is really elite. And you'll see next year when our team comes back, we're going to be competing for a championship.
When you were kicking the idea of this trade around, and you had various scenarios planned in your head, did the anger and outrage from the fan base, has that exceeded what you were kind of planning for?
Yeah, good question. I did know that Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't quite know it to what level, but really the way we looked at it is, you know, if you're putting a team on the floor that's Kyrie, Clay, PJ, Anthony Davis, and Lively, we feel that's a championship caliber team, and we would have been winning at a high level, and that would have quieted some of the outrage. And so unfortunately we weren't able to do that, so it just continued to, you know, go on and on.
No, you weren't. No, you were not able to quiet the outrage. Shout out to that first reporter, that first question, by the way. Just the most straight up question I think I've ever heard a reporter ask. I would be terrified to ask someone this question, you know, unless I'm on this podcast where I don't give a flying F what I say. That was an F, not a F-U-C-K. But awesome question by that first reporter. Why shouldn't you be fired? What an insane question. Why shouldn't you be fired? A fair question, though. Insane, but fair. And yeah, Nico kind of responded. He's like, I don't know if it's, you know, I think I've done a good job. I don't know if it's fair for me to be judged, you know, based on all the injuries we've had this year. Yes, the Mavericks did have a number of injuries, but I think you can be judged by it because your plan was to move forward with Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis, knowing full well that both of them are past their primes and a little older. We all know how injury prone Anthony Davis is. And while Kyrie's maybe not quite as injury prone, I forget if he was injured before or after the trade, but I don't really think it's relevant. You can't, like, yes, the injuries did screw him over, but he also didn't take injuries into account when he made the trade. He should have traded for less injury prone players if that was the case. Another thing he said was, oh, we have, you know, championship expectations. Clearly they didn't. I think the Mavericks, have lost 9 games in a row, something crazy like that. So yeah, just Nico Harrison's completely delusional. The most delusional thing, which he said was, you know, yeah, I knew Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't know what level. What? How did you not know how important one of the greatest players you've ever had was? Dirk is obviously the Mavericks GOAT, but Luka is probably right there. Luka's probably the second greatest Maverick ever, and you didn't know how important he was to the franchise. It doesn't take a genius. Any team's best player, that's the most important players to the fan, and especially when they're MVP caliber, a team that a guy who got you to the NBA Finals, he is the most important person to your fan base. So yeah, Mavericks fans rejoice. Good riddance, Nico Harrison. Although, all I want to say, Nico, from the bottom of my heart, is thank you. I will be enjoying that championship contention that you kind of locked in when you traded Luka to my team. But yeah, let's get to it. Everyone's favorite moment of the week. Y'all already know what it is. It's the top 10 Goosebump moments of the week. Starting off at number 10, we have Wake Forest making the 4th down stop to upset number 14 Virginia.
No timeouts remaining. Kalen into the end zone, up for grabs. Incomplete for Harrison.
Number 9, Diego Pavia with a pop pass for the go-ahead touchdown in OT for Vandy.
Pavia over the top, touchdown! Cole Spitz.
Number 8, Dennis Jenkins hits the corner 3 to force OT in Detroit.
They blew up the screen.
Jenkins from the corner. Jenkins with the heroics.
Number 7, Caleb Williams scrambles to the end zone for the game-winning TD.
A boot. Williams running. Caleb Williams into the end zone. Did he stay in bounds?
Number 6, Sheldon Rankins with the scoop and score with no time left as the Texans win it.
He's sacked, and it's
Will
over.
Anderson on the strip.
Will Anderson Jr. gets there. The ball pops in the air, and Rankins takes it the distance. What a way to end.
Number 5, Desmond Bain hits nothing but net on this buzzer beater for the win.
Comes to Bain. Bain hoisting at the buzzer. He drills it. It's magic on a Monday night. 1:15, 1:12 the final.
Number 4, Jonathan Taylor runs in the walk-off touchdown in OT in Germany.
Right back to Taylor with Warren blocking. Touchdown Taylor! An appropriate finish in Berlin, Germany.
Number 3, Jacob DeJesus scores the walk-off TD to upset Louisville in OT. Cal
Takes a
wins.
snap, looking to the end zone. Fires. Caught. Touchdown! DeJesus! And it's a walk-off win for Cal on the road in overtime.
Number 2, Andrew Wiggins with the walk-off alley-oop for the Heat.
One more miracle. The lob for Wiggins. He did it! The Heat win it! A spectacular finish for Miami.
Number 1 moment of the week, Omar Cooper Jr. with probably the greatest game-winning catch of all time.
It's out! Touchdown! Omar Cooper! Unbelievable! Give him the Heisman Trophy now! Did he get his foot down?
The ruling of the touchdown is under review.
Oh my goodness. No way!
Incredible catch from Omar Cooper Jr. there. Had to be number 1 moment of the week. The sheer athleticism and body control and presence of mind needed to make that catch and recognize that, oh, the foot that's almost down here, I don't think that one's going to be in bounds, so I'm going to switch to the other foot. Just that might be I think that is the greatest game-winning catch of all time. Yeah, I guess the only, my brother said Santonio Holmes. Santonio Holmes was to win the Super Bowl, so I guess that's number 1, but this is a close second. I mean, that is ridiculous. I don't know. You could argue the degree of difficulty on this one's even harder than Santonio Holmes, but yeah, bigger game in the Super Bowl. But yeah, great top 10 this week. Yeah, hate to see Caleb Williams and the Bears doing well. What else did we have in here? Jonathan Taylor, best running back in the league, and Andrew Wiggins. That should maybe have been number 1. A walk-off alley-oop, an alley-oop at the buzzer. You don't see that every day. I guess Aaron Gordon did it in the playoffs, but yeah, great top 10 moments of the week here. Let's finish out the show, though, as I'm sure most of you want to. Let's finish it out with my TNF pick. Thursday night football, Prime Video. Jets at Patriots. Ew. Kind of another gross one. We're back to our roots. We're back to where Thursday night football is meant to be. It's meant to be just stink fests. I don't know. I don't know what the word is for it. The Patriots obviously don't stink. They're one of the best teams in the NBA, or the NFL. They probably be decent in the NBA too. They're honestly that good. But yeah, Jets at New England. Patriots big favorites in this one. They are 11.5-point favorites. I kind of wanted to take the Jets in this one, but my pick is going to be Patriots minus 11.5. It's a lot of points. They probably won't cover it, but I'm taking the Patriots and the points. And yeah, I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted by how good the Patriots are. I've wanted them to be terrible. I wanted them to be terrible for another 2 decades. And, I'm salty because Drake May is already looking like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. That being said, I'm being a complete hypocrite because, yes, I do want the Patriots to suck for 20 years because they just had a 20-year dynasty, one of the greatest teams of all time. So I want them to be mediocrity forever. But yeah, with Drake May, they are not looking like that. And yeah, I'm being a hypocrite because my Packers have had 3 decades of elite quarterback play from, only 3 different quarterbacks. So, similar to how the Patriots are kind of trying to revive their dynasty here. But yeah, give me the Patriots minus 11.5 in this game. I want to pick the Jets to cover, but I don't know. I think that the Patriots will continue to put the league on notice Thursday. And of course, we can definitely sit here and say that the Jets have absolutely zero chance at winning a Super Bowl anytime soon. But Drake may.